Hi, I'm Elizabeth.
And I'm Cody.
And this is Keeping Scoreboard Game Reviews, and today we are reviewing Homestead or Die by
Gabriel Baldwin. His company is called Made in Maine. So the first thing to say about this game, if you look at it, it's definitely gray. It's definitely a labor of love. Like everything, including this beautiful box that it comes in, it was definitely done by hand, made in-house, a labor of love by Gabriel. And he's a wonderful gentleman, and I've had a real pleasure working with him. Did you want to start by talking about the game, dear, and see what you think?
So the game's a cooperative
1 to 6 player survival
strategy game. I love the concept where you and your friends are going to homestead, and if you don't homestead correctly, you will die.
As you can see, we've chosen a yurt tent to survive in.
You know, and you do it by gaining skills, which in turn gets you resources as you move through the seasons. But then there's bad events that happen. You can work on projects. There's a compost system, which I never truly understood.
And we tried it several times, and we just never could.
The nice thing is here, you can talk about those.
So one of the things I really like about the design of the game is that the entire instruction booklet, for most intents and purposes, has been broken down into a learn-to-play deck. And each one walks you through playing. And they're all very useful and clear for the most part. And I wish more games did this with like this starting deck of, hey, go through this one card at a time. It's excellent. But it doesn't have the clarifications for a few things on the board. And some of those that we weren't clear on can be found back here on the very back in what's called card clarifications. This card is not included in that deck. So unless you know to look for it on the back of the manual, off the top of your head, you may not actually look for it. But other than that, yeah, flashcards to get through the rules of a game that is relatively complex. Brilliant design decision.
Another issue I had was there's a lot of symbols used in this game, like for crafting and for making projects. And I couldn't ever, the symbols were just a bit confusing for me. I couldn't 100% decide what some of them meant. And there was no really good, like, key to necessarily explaining what those meant. I mean, you had this marketplace thing, which kind of said, you know, things were worth certain amounts. But I was just very, very confused during the majority of this game, and I didn't understand it. And I'm not 100% sure if it's in the instructions or if it's in the complexity of the game. I love the concept, though. I mean, the concept is amazing. I love the idea of, hey, let's build a farm together and make sure that we live past all the horrible things that happen in life, like a radiation leak that could happen.
And the market does crash. And when it does, the system on how you do things changes. It changes into a barter system. The money becomes useless. Everything like that. And that happens about 2/3 of the way through the game. I didn't struggle quite as much with like the symbology and things, but like she had said, it's never perfectly clear whether it wants you to trade a cube to get more cubes at the marketplace or how that. There's no visual reference for what's going on here. Like you don't gain, logs for woodcraft. You gain wooden cubes, and then those wooden cubes look the same for every other material. And that just it makes it simpler to produce, and I understand why it was done, but it makes it much harder to differentiate what you're working with. Because you have to keep in mind these cubes stand for that cube stands for this. Having the cubes be different colors or different shapes would have definitely helped clarify that a lot. And, there are nice systems in place. You've got achievements that are optional to make the game more or less difficult. when you play multiple times, most things are clearly explained. I mean, it's all there. It's just hard to keep track of because everything is gray. And with everything being gray, there's nothing grabbing your eyesight to help you keep track of what's what. And I think that's the inherent problem. I don't think it's that there's not enough information. I don't think that it's a bad game at all. What I do think is that its lack of it needs to go over with somebody who's better at graphical design. It needs colors or another way to differentiate between different materials because it all kind of blends together. And for that reason, I think I have to give the game a 6. It's not bad. I absolutely will play it again, and I'll probably play it multiple times by myself to get deeper into the systems because it's a good design at heart, but I think it suffers from bad graphical design, if you know what I mean.
So I'm going to give it a 5, and it's because I couldn't really understand what was even happening during the game. I was just too confused, and that frustrated me, which made me not enjoy the game. It's getting a 5 still, though, because I like the concept. I think that the concept is really good. It just needs some fine-toothed combing.
Yeah, it needs a little TLC, and I have no doubt that Gabriel is going to continue working on this, and that it's definitely a good design, and I want him to continue making games because his ideas are great. But I do think this one, definitely a graphical overhaul would help with different colors and a little bit better graphical design. But once again, always, any company that wants to turn the rulebook into a set of flashcards for us to teach the game, way easier to hand people that to go over than it is to try to read everything out of that rulebook to people. So, masterpiece on that fact. But yeah, giving it a solid 6. Needs a little TLC, but it's a good design at heart. If it does interest you, by no means be scared to try it. You may absolutely love it. So yeah,
that was Homestead or Die, made completely in Maine, pretty much by hand, we think. Has a lot of potential. We're just working on the little bitty details.
So thank you very much and have a wonderful day.
Mm-hmm.